Welcome back to the channel, guys, and let's continue our exploration of Canva. This is still part of our Canva master course on Udemy, our main Canva course. We decided to bring you the totality of section 2 of the course right here on YouTube so you can get a taste of what the course is like. This is still part of the Canva fundamentals. In this video, we tackle how to align your elements perfectly in Canva, but also how to work with layers. Let's go. And I'm using my Canva Teams account just because I wanted more rubber duck options in my Elements tab right here. The Pro ones are suddenly available to me when I'm using my Teams account. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, all the other features I'm going to show you are available to both free and paid accounts. All right, so let's start by clicking on the rubber ducky. Okay, that's very important. You need to click on the elements you want to align or you want to position. And then you should see this button and this menu pop up. So you want to click on the position button. This will bring up this menu right here on the left side. Important, know that this menu has two different tabs, arrange and layers. Okay, right now I only have one layer and my background, okay, the ducky and the background, but we are going to come to the layers in a bit. Okay, let's start with the first tab, the arrange tab right here. So the first thing we see here on top, these four first buttons that are grayed out because I only have one element on the page right now. So if I was to copy this rubber duck, Command C, Command V, and they are overlapping, the two different elements are overlapping, you see now some of the buttons are actually usable, but I'll show you what they do in a second. Let's start with the one rubber duck. So let's move down to this second section of my menu here called Align to Page. So this Align to Page section will allow me to quickly anchor my element, my selected element, to specific locations on this page. So top, middle, bottom, or I could align or anchor to the right, left, or center. Okay. If you want it to be exactly at the middle, you will need to click center and middle. Okay. So this is something, to be honest, I rarely use these align to page features, okay, because you can simply grab your element, and when you position an element in the middle of your page, you will see that pink assisting line right here that is showing you that you are right at the middle, okay? And when you come to the middle and center, you will see the intersection of these two pink lines indicating you are exactly at the center of your document. So that's interesting and important to understand. Something else that you might not know, when you are under your elements tab, let's delete this rubber duck for now, and you import an element from the graphics or photos or whatever, Canva will position that element exactly at the middle. Okay, so if you want to double check, select your element, go to position, and you will see it's at the center and the middle. Okay, obviously you can reduce its size, and if you want again to position it middle, center, center, middle, and you're good to go. All right, so that's probably the only two buttons I use right here under the align to page, because the other ones, well, to be honest, are not that useful, at least to me. And then if we continue moving down this menu, we will have this section right here, okay, with the width, the height, and a ratio with a little padlock icon. So this line right here will allow you to scale an element. Okay, pay attention to these numbers. I'm just going to scale the duck, and you should see, okay, so the numbers moving, right? So these fields right here, width and height, could be a way to manually scale your elements. Just be aware that if you want your duck to keep the same dimensions or to keep the same ratio, you will want to click on that little padlock to close it so that you lock the ratio. And now let's say I want to scale it from 281 to 450 and hit enter. So you see my duck has been scaled without a problem. Now let's go back. So I'm just going to go back to 281. Let's unlock this padlock and do the same thing here, okay, 450. See, this is what happens. So now my element has been cropped because I only scaled the width without considering the height, okay? So you don't want to do that. I'm not even sure why Canva gives you the option to do this, but you always want to lock the ratio right here when you are scaling your elements manually, okay? And you can scale either of these two numbers. It doesn't matter. It it will always remain full as an element because you've locked that ratio. Okay, me again, I almost never use this. I scale my elements simply by dragging one of their corners. Do not drag from the middle because this will be having the same effect as cropping. So when you want to, let me go back using the back arrow. See, it's a little bit cropped here on top. There you go. So make sure that you grab an element by one of its corners if you want to scale it properly. Okay. Or you can use this line if that's your jam. Just, I feel like it's an extra step for me to get there. Okay. And then the very last line right here, the X and Y and the rotate. This is just to move that element on your page. So move the element on the space on the X and Y axis, or if for some reason you need to rotate this duck in a precise number, let's say, for example, 90 degrees, you'll type in 90 and hit enter to rotate your duck 90 degrees. So this is easier than to grab the little rotate button right here. So if you grab, hold your click and start moving your mouse, you see these degrees kind of going up. So it's just easier than to find, sometimes it's less precise here. It gives me a pretty precise way of doing it, but it's not always the case when the element is much smaller, for example. So yeah, or if you have a very weird number like 77, you can just type it in and it's going to work. You can also type negative values to rotate the other way around. All right, so this is pretty much what you can do in terms of arranging your elements on your page. And again, if you forgot how to get there, make sure you click on the element and then position button to reveal this menu right here. Okay, now I have multiple duckies on my page and you will notice a black duck right here. Okay, so he is the little black duck among his yellow brothers. So we are going to have fun with this black ducky. And I want to show you the remaining options under the position button. So in order to start here, we are going to click on our page, not on a particular duck. Okay, we are going to click on the page. This should bring up this menu and give us access to the position button. So by default, when you have multiple elements on your page, you will land on the layers tab right here of the position button. And you should see each of the elements on your page will be positioned on a different layer. Okay, so what I want to show you is sometimes you have different elements. There will not be ducks, but unless you have a YouTube channel about rubber ducks, okay, who knows? But you will have different elements in your design and sometimes it's difficult to access the exact same element that you want to select and work with. Okay, so here if I was to try and select the black duck, I'm not exactly sure how to do this with precision every single time. Well, this is where the position button comes in handy. So start by clicking on your page, click the position button. And from here, I want to show you two different ways you can actually access this black duck. Okay, the first one is to click on the black duck right here, the layer of the black duck. When you do so, you will see that the black duck is also highlighted or selected on your page. So there are two ways really I could move that duck from this design. The first one would be to click somewhere on the duck, making sure I'm not selecting another duck that is in front of it or behind it. So here I'm kind of safe right here in this corner, or here the lower corner or this upper corner. I'm safe here. So if I click and move, I can extract the black duck from the pack of yellow ducks. So that is one way of moving this duck. Okay, let me hit the back arrow, reposition the black ducky in the pack. The second way of moving this duck would be to grab the duck and then dragging this layer all the way to the top, which will position the duck in front of every other duck. So what I've done here, I've repositioned the layer of my duck. You see, you can do this and slide this black ducky anywhere you want really on the design. But here I'm going to make it come to the forefront of everything. And now it's very easy for me to grab it and move it around. And this option to bring the layer you want to work with on top of everything else is probably the simplest option because the other one requires you to click with precision. So you could always reposition the duck exactly where you want it by dragging its layer back where it was. So that's not a problem. But for ease of use, just bring it to the forefront and start working with it. And then when you're done, maybe changing its color or flipping it around, or it doesn't matter. Bring its layer back where it belongs and everything will be good to go. All right, so there is more options I want to show you. Let me come back to the position. Remember, a few minutes ago, I told you we would come back to these buttons right here. Well, let's do this now. I'm going to select the black duck, hit the position button, and now we see on the arrange tab that all of these options are available. Okay, so let me explain what they do. The first one right here, forward, and its opposite, the backward right here, will just move the selected element. Okay, so this work with individual elements that are selected. Here it's the black duck. I could move it forward, you see, or backward, like so, all the way to the last layer. Now it should be at the bottom layer. So let's click the layers button to double check. Yes, it is. If I bring it all the way to the front, there you go, and move to the arrange button, you see I cannot bring it any more forward because it's already to the front. But what I could do is to bring it all the way to the back. You see now these two bottom buttons go through all the different layers. We see the icon is actually different layers and an arrow showing that we are bringing this duck all the way to the back. Okay, so I could do that all the way to the back. Let's double check. Good. And now all the way to the front. There you go. All right. So these are easy ways, I would say, to work with these layers. Now let's do something else. Let's imagine all of the ducks are having a little party. Let's flip some of them horizontally as well, like this one and this one. And now I want to put this black ducky right here in the middle, but make this in a way that kind of feels natural. So I'm going to use the layers and start playing around like so and see where it looks good. This looks pretty good. I'm going to flip it like so and maybe rotate this one a little bit. Yeah, I think this one is good. I will flip it one last time and there you go. Now we have something that looks pretty good. I have modified my composition to make my design look better by using the different layers to add depth to my design and position these little duckies exactly where I wanted them to be. Now, a few other things I want to show you about the layers. Let's say you select the black duck and you say, okay, you know what? I don't need this duck. You could just hit your delete key to delete a specific layer. Okay, let me bring it back by Command Z. You could select different layers by holding your Shift key, and these two, you could group them. Okay, so selecting layers and grouping them is something I do quite often, and now I can move these three ducks at the same time. And you should see that these layers have been grouped with this little icon right here. I think you can ungroup directly from here. There you go. I have ungrouped these three layers. So this is just an easy way for me to group elements together or to ungroup them. All right, what else can I do? Well, each layer has its little three dots here. If I click here, I have access to some more options. Nothing that you could not do by just selecting it right here and right clicking. These will be the same thing. It's just a shortcut. You can do it directly from here. So layers, you can bring this element that is selected forward to the front, backwards. So these are the same buttons as here. These guys right here, you can just do everything from here. All right, so that is layers. I am very happy that Canva decided to bring the layers to the platform. This is already a few years old, but it took them a long time to actually introduce that feature. And it is a game changer because it allows us to be much more precise when we design, especially when we design things that carry a lot of elements that have a lot of layers. Sometimes you will need to work with precision to align all of your elements or to make sure your text boxes are exactly where they need to be. Now, Canva has a secret weapon for that. Let me show you. What I have here are a few different pages I just took from a template. Okay, so this comes from a template. Let me show you. It's a product launch template that I found right here in the library. See, white and gray, clean product launch mockup presentation. And it has these different pages. It's quite text heavy, and it has all of these mockups to kind of display your app in the different devices. Okay, I put some RONNY material here just to make it a little bit more on brand. Let me collapse that. What I want to show you is that this template uses a lot of text and everything seems to be exactly where it needs to be, right? Everything is super well aligned, especially on slides like this one where you have your numbers, your paragraphs, your titles. Everything looks very neat. So let me show you how you can, when you work on a design such as this one, when you can make sure every text box is where it needs to be, exactly to the pixel where it needs to be positioned. So for that, Canva has a secret weapon. Okay, I was mentioning that secret weapon. Well, that secret weapon is the rulers and guides, particularly the guides, but in order to bring a guide, you need to activate the rulers. So for that, you will want to navigate to your file button right here on top of your screen, click on that, and then select the settings option and then show rulers and guides. Okay, there is a keyboard shortcut, Shift R again. So what this brings up is these rulers right here that you see on the left part of my screen and the upper part of my screen right here. So these are what we call the rulers. Now, once you have your rulers, once you can see them, you can actually click inside the ruler and drag. This will bring up a guide. You see this purple line right here that is approaching to my page? Well, this is what we call a guide. And these guides could be dropped or positioned anywhere we want on our design. And when they touch an element, they will tend to snap to it. Okay, this is very difficult to explain with just words, but when you actually manipulate like the mouse in Canva, you will feel that snapping motion, like right there, it snaps to this text boxes right here. And you can add as many guides as you need to your design. So here I will position guides pretty much everywhere I need to make sure this design is well aligned. Okay, so I already positioned one for the number right here, and straight from the get-go, I can see there is a small alignment mistake. You see, let me zoom in so you can see what's going on here. So the text box with the number 2 and the text box with number 1, there's a little bit more space here. See, this one is clearly touching the guide. This one is not. So why is that? Because this text box could be slightly reduced. There you go. You see, I can reduce it before it breaks into 2 lines. There you go. So because of that, this text box right here was not exactly where it needed to be. Now it is. Now it is perfectly aligned with this one right here. So you see, if you want to be even more precise, what you could do is to reduce all the way to the last thing you can reduce before it breaks into 2 lines, and then touch the guide with the text box. And now you are sure this is perfectly aligned. Now you can also bring guides from the top. See, any of these 2 rulers, so the left ruler or the top ruler, let's bring one from the top, position it right there, and make sure this text box is actually touching it on both sides. And you see, when you move elements, Canva will keep assisting you with these dotted lines. So when you see these lines, it means something is aligned with something, you know? So here I'm making sure this 0, 1 text box is touching this guide and this guide right here, okay? And similarly here, I need to bring another guide, make sure it touches this text box. So now this text box right here, see, it's slightly too high. So I will just bring it down a little bit until it touches both of these guides. And now I'm sure that this and this is properly aligned. So on a slide like this one, what you will want to do is to position your guides everywhere you need them. Okay, so this will allow you to make sure this text box is aligned with this text box. We probably need another guide right here, there, and another one right there. Okay, and so just by selecting the things or hovering over them, you can see they are aligned. So if we want to be consistent with the other side, on the left side, I would reduce all spacing here and make sure this box is touching my 2 guides. So here and here. See, I'm that kind of guy. When I work with Canva, I need everything to be super aligned. And these guides is just your easiest way to make sure that is the case. Because once you have something like this, let me zoom out a little bit. Once you have positioned all of your guides, and here I could even go deeper and have like another one for the second text box. You see, you have 2 text boxes here. Yeah, once you have something like this, it's almost impossible for you to mess up. Like, let's say something's move on your design. Okay, this and this have moved. Well, no problem. You have your guides, so you can just take this and you know it needs to come right here. Similarly, this text box needs to come right here. Canva is going to assist me because it's intelligent. It understands where things need to be. It will show me these dotted lines to assist me and align elements perfectly. And once you feel like everything is super well aligned on your slide, you can make the guides disappear, like Shift R, and then you have the cleaner view of your slide. Obviously, these guides are not going to show when you export that slide. Something else you need to know about the guides is when you move to a next page, the guides that you just positioned will still be visible. So they might not apply for the next slide. So if you want to clear them, you could go to your files, settings, and then here you could clear guides, or you could lock guides also if you want to make them stay and have them all the time at the same position. Or you can also access a few different types of guides. Okay, if you click on add guides, you will have some presets right here. So like you could have 12 columns, 3 columns, a 3x3 grid, or you could go custom and create your own set of guides. And then you could lock them in your document and just have that as your base to work with. Okay, so guides are your best friend to make sure everything is always aligned in your designs. And this is where I'm going to wrap up the video. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget, this is part of our Canva master course. You'll find the link in the description of this video. And also, we've decided to organize all of these videos, part of section 2 of the course, into a course right here on YouTube. And the next video should be popping right here. So you can click here to watch the next one.